My Dad, a podcast about catching up and nerding out.
With anyone whose awesomeness levels rival mine.
So level up your awesomeness and welcome to the Fandemic.
Welcome to the Fandemic. This is a podcast about looking at some part of pop culture, and then we're going to go way off the deep end and see where we end up. I'm the self-proclaimed Emperor of Awesome, Bradley Butin, and I have a special guest tonight, Tyler Brook, the host of a super cool and amazing podcast, Geek Talk with Tyler, and apparently I need to do more core so I can breathe better. Tyler, thank you for joining the Fandemic. How are you today?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing all right. I mean, it's been definitely a week. So I know we've had to play a lot of Houdini on the scheduling to finally make this happen. They were originally going to meet like a week or like maybe a week and a half ago.
That sounds right, but between the time zone and sudden events happening, just got crazy. But hey, glad to talk fandom with you now.
Thank you so much. And so where are you located out of?
I am in Pearl River, New York, and for those of you that don't live anywhere near the New York area, it's about 45 minutes to an hour drive to Manhattan.
Nice.
Not only am I the host of the Geek Talk with Tyler show, I am also a host of the live show Talk Geek with Tyler Brook, which I look forward to your appearance on next month.
Yep. Yes.
If you want to see any of my info, please go to the website, geektalkwithtyler.com. There you can see all my social links. You can see all the guests I've had, including but not limited to Rickman of Rickman Art, who's done my logo, Mr. C or James Celestin, who's going to do my upcoming theme song for next year, and of course Greg Wiseman, who is the creator of the Gargoyles franchise, which we will be discussing today.
Yeah, send me those links and I'll put it in the show notes for sure.
Oh, absolutely, I can do that for you.
Nice. So I know it's been a big. Are you a Star Wars fan at all?
I liked the original trilogy. When I was younger, I was a fan of the prequels, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, they're kind of, and this is an expression I'm starting. Let me know what you think of it.
Yeah,
they're beating off a dead horse with this.
I like it a lot, actually.
You know, beating a dead horse never made sense to me.
Right.
We have a term for that, and it's called tenderizing. And granted, horse meat is not legal in the United States, but it is in other parts of the world. But if you beat it off a dead horse, nothing gets accomplished. You're just a dirty pervert eating a dead horse junk. So come on, let's eat that horse, and we'll eat it together.
You know what? I'm all for that. I mean, what do they do in the Old West? You know, I mean, like, we've all played Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, we were there.
Exactly. And it's not going to get any less dead, so...
Right.
Which reminds me, feel free to check out my ranking, the 12 Talismans of Shendu. You'll be surprised what number 1 is.
Very cool. Tales of the Jedi just came out a couple days ago, and I am a big fan of that. Now, Andor, not so much, but Tales of the Jedi did a couple of big things. I don't know if you watched it or not, but I'm gonna go ahead and spoil the crap out of it here for just a second.
I'm gonna piggyback on that for a second, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Here's my rule of thumb about spoilers. If it's been at least a week and the person in question hasn't seen it, read it, etc., then you should be absolutely free to spoil it, but you should say spoiler alert. Right. And then if they choose to stick around, then that's on them.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, I know with my brother, I give him 24 hours. I'm like, if something that important is coming up, you got 24 hours to watch it, dude, or else I'm going to spoil the crap out of it for it. But I mix in facts with fiction with that. Whenever I try to spoil my brother, one, it's just I'm an older brother, and that's just what brothers do. And two, I'm going to give
brother as well.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give like true stuff and false stuff, you know, just so he can come back and be like, dude, you were wrong, you know. So, but Ahsoka Tano, her episodes and tales were amazing, and in the end, she kills one of the Inquisitors, which she does in the books. But this also explains where she gets the kyber crystals for her white lightsabers moving forward. So, so very cool. I tell you what, Count Dooku episodes were amazing. He battled Yaddle to go to the dark side, which also Qui-Gon's death and everything. But Yaddle was voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard. Yeah, well, definitely good. It takes about an hour of your time to watch it on Disney Plus. So there's your shout out for Disney Plus right there. Check it out. It's fun.
Gonna be honest with you, I'm more of a Star Trek fan because no matter what incarnation of Star Trek you're watching, the original series, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, the concept is the same, but there are new ways of executing it. It is a space adventure with a diverse crew, whether they be diverse in the human sense, Black, Asian, Hispanic, or diverse in the species sense, where you have your half alien, your half humans, your what is warp exactly, or whatever his race is, and so on and so
Klingon.
forth.
Yep.
Klingon, yes, thank you, and so on and so forth. But with Star Wars, it's just I feel like they should have just ended it after the prequels. And I get this as a businessman. You want a name that'll put butts in seats, whether it's on TV or in the movies or at convention centers. I get that, I do.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's so much potential for new pieces of work out there. And I feel like Disney really is milking Star Wars for everything it's worth.
Yeah, it's kind of like jacking off a dead horse.
There we go. And I'm glad it's catching on.
I love it. I'm gonna definitely be using it. So, and I'll definitely credit you whenever
Please
I
and thank
do.
you. That's all I ask.
Awesome. So, so Tyler, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you come up with Geek Talk with Tyler?
Well, I was originally working at Wegmans at the time. I was in the dairy aisle. I've been there for about 4 years, and honestly, it really wasn't for me. I just kept, you know what? I got to pay the bills. I got to pay rent. I just got to put this in, and it can get very stressful. I mean, between people overreacting, oh my God, I saw a snowflake, so I got to buy 50 pounds of expirable food, to people calling out because they're basically a human Psyduck. And for those of you that are not familiar with Pokemon, Psyduck is a Pokemon that constantly gets headaches. Or people calling out because they get a quarter inch of snow on the ground. It's like, you live in the New York, New Jersey area. If you're not used to snow, that's on you. But
I'm with you.
Eventually, I just kind of blew up at the wrong person. That led to my termination. I was first angry, like I pretty much just kicked over a garbage can and almost hit some customers with the car on my way out. I was that enraged because I've been there for several years and I really didn't get any appreciation thereof. And then I'm like, holy shit, how the hell am I going to pay rent? Like, you know what? Why don't I start a podcast? I've been talking geek for years, and it has been years. So why don't I, and podcasts are a thing, so why don't I start something with that? And I did. And since then, I've had several wonderful guests on both of my shows.
Nice.
And now I'm at the point where people are reaching out to me, and here we are.
Awesome, man. Customers, you gotta have them, but sometimes you just really don't want them. I'm a marketing and events manager for our local theater here in Ankeny, Iowa.
Nice.
B&B Theaters, and we just had this promotion for we sent a whole lot of people free movie tickets to come in and they end on October 31st. So
on Halloween, very date save worthy. But what was the movie you're trying to push?
All of them. We're just trying to get people back into the theater. So it was just one of those things that, okay, I mean, there wasn't a ton of big things happening in October besides Black Adam. I mean, Halloween ends, but really does it ever,
Well, because we live in America in an age of reboots? No. But as a movie goer, can I give some advice that'll guarantee butts and seats?
Yeah.
People are spending that much money to see a movie. And I get it, it's a business, but do we really need the trailers? I mean, it's just like saying you're paying all this money and we're still getting commercials.
It's true. I will say that it all depends on the trailers. Some of them, so but yeah, I get where you're coming at for sure, for sure.
And here's another suggestion I will recommend to you. Have you ever been to a shop? Are you a member of ShopRite or pretty much any grocery store that does a point system?
Yeah, like CVS. Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Okay, I would do that, and eventually, like say, just a number off the 100 points, you can get a free bucket of popcorn, or 500 points, you get free movie tickets, something like that. A little incentive to get people back in the theater. That's what I would do personally.
Yeah, we have something like that. Every Tuesday, if you're a member, you can get $5 movie tickets for anything.
I do.
And then we have you get discounts on concessions as well on that day, and I do trivia night, and I do bingo night. So I do movie bingo, and I do trivia at the theater, and then I do Uno tournament. I'm going to be doing live action Clue. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to really break out in there, and kind of be that voice there. So
Let me ask you, the latter four, I don't see how anybody could cheat with that, or at least cheat successfully. But for trivia night, what's preventing them from using their phones?
Nothing. If I catch it, I make fun of them.
All right, well, there you go. That's one route to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's all for fun. So if in the trivia, it's points, and we don't give a lot of time. So once we go through all the questions, if people really want to cheat, by all means do that. But I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna catch you. So
all right, well, there you go.
Awesome. So Tyler, I am a storyteller. I love to pitch things. My brain is always working. I'm also a pretty big nerd. I must admit, I am a big fan of origin stories. So I know you kind of told me a little bit about yourself, Geek with Tyler. What is your origin story, sir?
Well, let's see. 9 months before my birthday, which is November 14th, and to answer your next question, I do like money. But if you want to give me plane tickets to Japan, that would also work. But yeah, 9 months before my birthday, my parents made the beast with two backs, basically. 9 months later, I was born. I was diagnosed with the Asperger autism spectrum at a very young age. That proved very difficult. But through my parents' hard work and my own, I was able to achieve several great things. I'm a published author. I'm a black belt in Japanese karate. I officially have my own apartment, all utilities included, and my own parking spot, which is, if you're a resident of New York and New Jersey, it is a very big deal.
I bet. So you're a published author. You know what? So am I, actually. And I'm a second degree black belt in Taekwondo as well. So that's really cool. What kind of book did you write?
It is a children's holiday book. The idea originally started as a what if concept. You know the whole if you're bad, you get coal thing? You know how that works?
Yeah.
When I first came up with the idea, the what if concept, what if somebody was intentionally being bad just for them to get coal?
Very cool.
And as I wrote it, I find myself relating a lot to Peter, the particular character of my book, Peter on the Cold Christmas. That's coal, as in the thing that becomes diamonds, not coal as in cold. Just so there's no, do you say coal or cold? No, nope, it is coal, C-O-A-L.
Got it.
And yes, he was burping and farting, and a lot of people were really judging him before they even got to know him or asked why he did that. So here we are, and yeah, I'm working on my second book, and if you would like to hear this book, it will be my Christmas special for my main podcast, Geek Talk with Tyler, as I have both Marlene Sharp and Ken Weisselman reading it as well.
Very cool. I wrote a kid's book as well. Actually, mine is called Leveling Up My Awesome, and it's just about just the power of positivity. My second kid's book is coming out in a couple of weeks. It's called the Stuffed Animal Night Force, about stuffed animals that come alive in the dreams and ward off bad dreams.
So it's like Power Rangers meets Toy Story.
Yeah, pretty much, kind of. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And my daughters are the ones that they're kind of my inspiration for all that kind of fun stuff. And
Okay, so I've never read this book, so can I assume one is a bear, one is a stuffed elephant, one is a stuffed big cat of sorts? I'm just going to say lion because it's the most popular of the bunch. I want to say a
there
stuffed giraffe.
there is going to be a teddy bear. There is a teddy bear in there, but that's not going to be from the girl. From that's going to be an add-on. Other than that, the rest is all on the illustrator. So,
There you go.
excuse me. I can't draw. I can write, and I have a lot of ideas that way. So, but you know what? I pay somebody to do my illustrating on this project. I did my first one on my own. I did it on Canva because it wasn't very too difficult. But yeah, it's so much fun. I love it. I love it. So also, you said you were a black belt in karate. That is awesome as well.
Thank you.
Who is your favorite martial artist?
I would say Jackie Chan. He seems like such a nice person, and I did grow up with his series as a kid.
Mm.
I
That
know
was,
that's a basic answer. That's like me saying my favorite superhero is Superman, and my favorite
yeah.
sandwich is peanut butter and jelly.
Right. But I remember the Jackie Chan Adventures. That was such a great animated show. And we're going to talk about probably one of the top animated shows here in just a couple of minutes. Before we get there, though, what are a couple of your favorite movies, TV shows, and podcasts that you listen to?
I try to listen to a lot of my friends' podcasts or people who have been on my show. They scratch my back, I scratch theirs.
Yep.
Movies, off the top of my head, I would say Caddyshack, Animal House, Princess Mononoke. Yeah, I know that's a big left field from the first two.
Yeah.
The original Lion King, I still feel like the live action Lion King doesn't work because it's like,
Because it's not live action.
yeah, exactly. Hence the air quotes. But have you ever
Right.
seen Astro Boy or Speed Racer?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you know how the English really didn't work, and I get it.
Mhm.
It was the 60s. They were still trying to figure out anime.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like that, honestly.
Yeah, man. My problem with the Lion King live action, was exactly that. Is don't call it live action. Call it, I don't know, make up a word for it.
No
But
one ever calls it live, and they never said Disney presents the live action Lion King.
yeah,
I mean, we did that before, and it was called Lion King on Broadway, and it was phenomenal.
right. Oh man, and now they're making a prequel to it called Mufasa. So hey, whatever.
Look, there's no doubt in my mind that the Renaissance was by far Disney's most successful era, from Little
Mhm.
Mermaid to Beauty and the Beast to The Lion King. But if we want to do a retelling, if as it were, a live action retelling,
Mhm.
why not do the less successful ones anyway and give it a
And
second chance?
yeah,
The idea of the Black Cauldron, the Treasure Planet movie,
Mhm.
Atlantis, and considering that representation matters, and it still does, Atlantis may be the way to go because if you look at that cast, they're all different individuals of different walks of life.
Mhm.
So I don't know why Disney's not pushing that one.
Yeah, you know what? And I never understood that as well. Like, why not take those properties that aren't as well known and make them well known? Give them a really good, some money behind it and everything. But I guess they don't ask me before they do stuff.
If they asked every single person in America, who knows what the stuff we would end up with. That
Mhm.
said, don't watch the live action Pinocchio. It didn't do the
I ha-
series, the movie justice.
I haven't. I haven't. And I probably
No,
won't.
no. The donkey scene. You remember when the boys were starting to turn into donkeys?
Hmm.
Yeah, in the original movie, that terrified me.
Yeah.
And granted, I knew it was going to happen anyway, but it just looked like, how do I put this in the delicate way possible? It looked like the obligatory scene of parents supporting their kid at a local theater. That's the vibe I got from it.
I like that a lot. Awesome. So, what do you fan out the most about? So, what's your favorite kind of franchise? What trips your trigger the most?
Honestly, there are a lot of shows that I really am into. I'm by far a One Piece fan. Very great anime, but to be
Awesome.
fair, it's over 1,000 episodes long, as well as 1,000 chapters. So if you're just getting into it, I suggest read the manga because you'll be caught up a lot faster that way.
Yeah.
I also really like The Big Bang Theory. It's kind of a comfort thing. South Park, definitely, because they're the type of people that said, "Oh, you can't make fun of these people. Screw you. We're making fun of them anyway."
Yeah,
And
which
they're
is the right answer.
an equal opportunity offender.
Yeah. Correct.
And of course, gargoyles, which I've talked about several times actually. I talked about them in my Shakespearean two-parter episode. I've also I dedicated an episode. It was the black sheep of Disney's 90s animation. I
Mhm.
did it for my live show where we talked about the comics, and I even spoke with the creator of Gargoyles, Greg Wiseman.
That's awesome. That is so awesome.
It really was. It's like, you ever go to Comic Con?
Every now and then, I'm in Iowa, so we don't get a lot of good ones around here. So I mean,
Okay,
the
so have
last
you ever been to a convention, I should say?
yeah, I've been down to Kansas City a few times. It all depends how much money I have during Comic Con season.
Okay, so have you ever met anybody famous
I'm
there?
in not a well. I mean, just I when I go to Comic Cons, I actually like to meet the comic creators. I'm not gonna spend $100 to shake somebody's hand or anything like that.
Well, let me rephrase that. Have you met any of the guests there?
No, no. I just go. I met a bunch. I've like I'll go meet the comic writers and stuff, but other than that, I just spectate.
Okay, yeah, and how often do you try not to freak out when you're meeting these indiv- individuals?
Um, well, I always try to play it cool. Yeah, as much as I possibly
Okay,
can.
try doing
I
that for an hour plus.
yeah. I get that, man, for sure. I remember I met Stone Cold Steve Austin at an airport on my way to boot camp in 1998. So it was the height of the Attitude Era. It was our last stop before we got to Lackland Air Force Base, and we're walking, and there was Stone Cold Steve Austin, and we ran up to see him, and we ran up to talk to him, and he asked us where we were going. We said, "Well, our next stop is boot camp," and he said, "Oh hell no." And then he shook all our hands. He gave us high fives and told us we were doing awesome things. He was just super nice guy. I've
Nice.
met Janie Lane. I met Janie Lane from Warrant. This is back in 1996 or 1997. I wasn't even. I think I wasn't even. I wasn't even 18 at the time. And we went to a Rock Never Stops concert. And he, after the show, he came around and just had conversations with everybody. So we had like a 15-minute conversation with Janie Lane. It was like really cool. And maybe probably like as far as like famous people go, one of the nicest people that I've ever met. I mean, just like you could actually tell that he was actually listening to you and like your story and everything like that. I mean, and he was actually asking like questions and stuff like, "Hey, where do you go to high school? You know, like what are you gonna do next?" And it was just really nice to see stuff like that.
That's awesome, and I get that. I went to Terrificon this year, um, mostly for networking, but I did
Uh-huh.
get the chance to meet Kevin Conroy, or you may better know him as Batman
Batman.
from the animated series. There
Yes.
were so many questions I could have asked, and I wanted to, but the problem was the people that asked before me were, kind of asked before me.
Yeah.
So I asked, you know what? I might as well just rip off a band-aid and ask something no one would expect. So I asked him, did he ever anticipate working with Luke Skywalker for as long as he did? And he was just so passionate about the question. He answered the question for a solid 2 minutes. Like, you can
That's
tell he
awesome.
really engaged in it. It was.
That is amazing.
Which
I love that.
Did you know that Tim Curry was originally going to be the voice for the Joker?
I did know that actually. So Batman the animated series is probably one of the greatest anime shows ever. And if you can see
Oh,
on the
absolutely.
let me see here. There you go.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So Joker, the oh my god, Mark Hamill Joker is my second favorite Joker.
Okay,
So
first one.
Heath Ledger.
I would
Hard
say
to
my three favorite Jokers in order are Mark Hamill, obviously,
Mhm.
followed by John DiMaggio, and then Brent Spiner from Young Justice.
I forgot about Brent Spiner. That's good. And Alan Tudyk is the Joker in Harley Quinn series.
Yeah, I do like
Yeah.
Harley Quinn. It's funny, but I feel like there are times it gets political
Mhm.
when it doesn't need to get political.
I will say with the Harley Quinn show, one thing that I wasn't expecting was that how deep it got. It was like the third to last episode of the new season where she was going into Bruce Wayne's head. That got deep, and I really appreciated that because it gave me a whole new kind of appreciation for that show because as off the wall it is and everything, it took the time to be like this is serious, and it gave it the due that it should have had.
Say what you want about DC's live action works, and it
Mhm.
deserves every piece of shit it gets thrown on,
Yeah,
especially with the Martha scene. But
I have a
their
fix for
animation
that.
is top quality.
Yeah, I have a fix for the Martha. So here is what they should have done. I mean, obviously, there's a million things they should have done, but if they were going to go for the Martha thing, what they should have done, they should have had a scene earlier where so after Thomas Wayne and Martha get shot. Thomas Wayne was dirty, everything like that. So Martha ends up in witness protection, ends up in Smallville, Kansas, falls in love with Jonathan Kent, gets married, and then a rocket ship comes down. She starts raising Kal-El to fix all the mistakes that she made with Bruce, blah, 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 blah. Then the Martha scene would have actually meant something like Martha, I'm giving a little bit of, extra something. But yeah,
Okay,
you're right.
that would be more plausible, and I do
Right?
understand that. Or I guess just stop making every character as brooding as Batman. Or
Yeah.
here's an idea: DC is filled with comic book characters, not just Batman and Superman. I mean, look, here are the four best-selling comics globally:
Mhm.
Spider-Man, Batman, One Piece, and Superman. So I get it. Superman and Batman are their bread and butter. But there are other characters that I believe would make a decent live action film. We have Etrigan the Demon. He'd be
Amazed, that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. Lobo, that would
Mhm,
be another. It's basically like a more badass version of Han Solo, and Han
mhm,
Solo is already badass.
mhm.
Or if you just want to go something completely left field, Detective Chimp.
Or The Question. You can go
Yeah, or
the Question in Detective Chimp. I mean, like, yeah, there's a lot of ways. I mean, like, personally, my favorite DC characters are Green Arrow, and I like Green Arrow before the show. I bet I got to specify that. I like Green Arrow before the show, and I like the quippiness. I like how Green Arrow is grounded. I love Green Lantern and Nightwing.
okay, which
Nightwing
Green
is my favorite.
Lantern? Because there's been a bunch of them.
So my favorite Green Lantern is Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner, John
Smartass?
Stewart, then Hal Jordan.
That seems like a decent order to put the Green Arrows in.
Or Green Lanterns, yeah. Yep.
I'm sorry. They're
Yep.
why does DC need so much green?
I mean, this is color of money, I guess, probably. I don't know. I don't
I
know.
get that, but say
Yeah.
like that. And you'll be
Yeah.
happy to know that Green Arrow actually placed fourth in my Squid Game episode.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Uh that's awesome.
In case you're wondering
Anytime.
who beat him,
Who?
Terry McGinnis Batman, David Xanatos, and Bruce Wayne Batman.
Fair. Fair. I
We
agree.
tried to take several things into this episode into account. What skills they have to offer, where
Mhm.
they're from, which is why we had to knock down Leonard Hofstadter as the first competitor because of his asthma.
Very cool. That's awesome. All right. So it is spooky season. So what Disney property do you think would make an excellent horror?
Horror?
Horror, yeah. So we're gonna turn some Disney franchise into a horror franchise. What would be your pick?
Hmm. Well, Pinocchio did scare me enough as a kid. So if we can find that way to make that even more terrifying, that could work. And I hear Guillermo del Toro is going to do that in his upcoming Netflix movie. Gargoyles is already adult and terrifying
Yeah.
enough, so I think we should just leave that as is. But if you do want to see more Gargoyles action, do me a solid and add hashtag keep binging gargoyles, and we'll see more stuff that happens from the comics. Um, Lexington coming out as gay. We get to see Brooklyn's time dancing adventure, and the return of Thalog and the clones.
What hashtag is that?
Hashtag keep binging gargoyles. It's all one word.
Gotcha. Keep binging gargoyles. Got it. I will definitely. I will definitely. I wrote it down now on my little pad. So, speaking of, couple more quick questions for you, and then we're gonna get into gargoyles.
Awesome.
Favorite show on Netflix?
Favorite show on Netflix, Squid Game, but I do also enjoy some of their original anime.
Awesome. Man, I tell you what, Castlevania, man. I really dig Castlevania on Netflix.
If you're looking for a little more slice of life anime, I think it's still there. Check out Orion High School Host Club. Believe it or
Okay.
not, Shakespeare inspired.
Mm. It's Shakespearean, huh? Okay, I'll definitely do
Well,
that.
Shakespeare inspired.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. All right,
To be fair,
best
pretty much
Marvel,
everything is nowadays.
right? Best Marvel movie.
Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't really get political. Just feels like a good 70s-esque adventure.
Awesome. All right, best DC movie.
Live action or animated?
Both.
Animated Return of the Joker.
Mm.
Live action. This is gonna be tricky, but I think I am going to say the original Jack Nicholson Joker
So
movie.
Batman '89.
Yeah, Batman '89.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. I think I would have to do. I'd have to probably do the original Superman and either the original Superman or Batman would have to be
The original, like that
Mhm.
predates the '90s and '80s.
Yep. So either Christopher Reeve's Superman 1978 or '89 Batman probably be the best DC movies. Best animated to me would be either the Flashpoint Paradox, Mask of the Phantasm, or I just watched the Green Lantern Beware My Power, which is fantastic. It has Aldous Hodge, who was Hawkman in Black Adam, as John Stewart, and it works. And my boy Green Arrow was in it. Yes.
I don't know if you've seen these, but I got two that I can recommend to you.
Yeah.
Catwoman Hunted, which ties into our Gargoyles episode because Keith David and Jonathan Frakes make an appearance in this.
Ooh, I did
And
not
if
know
you're
that.
looking for something completely left-handed, Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I have seen that. And I tell you
That's
what,
awesome, right?
Batman is one of those Batman works in so many different ways. Batman and TMNT works pretty well.
I like how they got all the Arkham, spoiler alert, all the
Yeah.
Arkham inmates mutated. Although this does raise a lot of questions, like if the Mad Hatter was in there, would he become like a giant rabbit?
Right?
If the Riddler was in there, would he be a platypus? And biggest one, if Killer Croc was in there, would he be more of a crocodile, or would he just go back to looking like a person?
One thing that it's always driven me nuts about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay, so you have Leonardo and Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Donatello all
And Raphael.
have right. They're all surfer boys, right? That was the California accent. Raphael is the only one with a New York accent. Why?
If you're going to start breaking down the question, my question is, how can four cold-blooded reptiles live in a New York sewer system, which, spoiler alert, gets pretty cold?
Fair.
Which
Uh,
I just find it hilarious that Rob Paulson manages to lend his voice in pretty much every incarnation. He was the 84 Raphael in the original, 84 Raph in the '03 series, the 2012 Donatello, as well as the 84 Raph, where they did a little crossover. It's like, and what's wrong with your voice? You sound weird. Me sound weird. Have you heard yourself lately? It's basically like Rob Paulson roasting himself, and I love that.
uh-huh.
He voiced the and then 18, I want to say the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I still feel like was too soon for a reboot, but
Mhm.
that's just my 2 cents. But I actually have met him in person. Very nice guy, and he is actually another Gargoyles voice actor.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he only makes one appearance. It was the
Mhm.
New Olympians episode. He was the firehead guy whose name is Helios. He was Helios.
Very cool, very cool. Last question, then we're gonna get into gargoyles. What is your favorite song to rock out to? So when you hear it, you just go crazy. You just got to rock out.
I would say something either by Billy Joel or something by Lady Gaga. Do they count as rock?
Oh yeah,
Lady Gaga.
absolutely.
All right, then
Anything counts as rock as long
I'd
as it makes you, pumps you up and gets you going.
say this is a Disney one, but Why Should I Worry by Billy Joel or Shy by Lady Gaga.
Okay, awesome. All right, now it is time to talk a little bit about gargoyles.
Dun, 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 dun.
Very cool, very good. Now, can you tell what is gargoyles? Can you set it up for me? Can you set up gargoyles?
Sure, it is essentially a prequel sequel in a sense, kind of like to a lesser extent that Beast Wars from the '90s was. It starts off in well, it first starts off in like the mid fight where we see pieces of Xanatos's newly owned castle falling. Then it gets the main story in 1,000 years ago, or at least 1,000 years ago, considering it was the '90s.
Yeah.
So around 994 BC AD,
Mhm.
all the gargoyles are in Scotland. They're turned to stone because it takes place during the day. Like it says in the show opening, stone by day, warriors by night. The Vikings are attacking Castle Wyvern, and then the sun sets, and then you see the gargoyle statues crumbling because the gargoyles are now awake. And during that time, there's some distrust with the humans, mainly with the captain of the guard and Demona. But Goliath's just like, I'm gonna be the bigger person. Their ways aren't ours. So Demona, the Hakon, the Viking leader, and the captain of the guard all come up with a plan to get all the gargoyles out of there. But the thing was, Hakon betrayed them and pretty much destroyed all the gargoyles within Castle Laverne, save for Goliath himself, the gargoyle who would become Hudson, the trio, the Gargate Beast who would become Bronx, Demona, and all the eggs in the rookery. And Xanatos, who is played by I cannot stress how talented this man is, Jonathan Frakes, actor David Xanatos. He buys this castle just to see if the legend was true, and the legend was the sorcerer who turned Goliath and his gargoyle, the remaining gargoyles, to stone in a fit of rage.
Mhm.
They would turn to stone like a sleeping beauty kind of turn to stone kind of a thing. Like they're stone, even at night. And the terms of the spell would happen if the castle rises above the clouds, they would turn to flesh again. And because Antos good, he purchases this castle, and his building is stupidly big already. So he puts the castle on top of his already existing building, which technically rises above the clouds. And the gargoyles are now in present day '90s. And I gotta tell you, this show is so dark. If you told me this was within the DCAU, I would not be surprised. But Disney of all companies owning this, and this keep in mind, this is the same channel that aired shows like Wuzzles and DuckTales and Tailspin.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, a stupid amount of Star Trek actors in there. Jonathan Frakes, like we
Mhm.
mentioned, Marina Sitaris, Michael Dorn, LeVar Burton, Brent Spiner, Matthew Frewer, the original Uhura, rest in peace. The voice of Nokar, as well as Shredder. Will's dad. What was his name? I'm losing track of it.
Oh, I can't think of it right off the top of my head as well.
Yeah, but the dad in
Yeah.
the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, basically.
Yeah, yep. Phil something, I think.
Well, either way, it does.
Yeah.
It's the only other show except The Big Bang Theory and Star Trek to have a ridiculous amount of Star Trek actors in there.
Yeah, correct. Gargoyles was this amazing show, and it was always on after the animated Batman the animated series,
Which
and
works.
that's at least when that's how I got into it. I remember watching with my brother growing up. We're like, whoa! I mean, I didn't have a ton of the toys, but I mean, I had a good amount of the toys. I would By the time it came around, I was getting out of being a toy playing with toys, collecting toys, whatever you want to call it. But the show, this is one of those things that like every week, every day, because it was on pretty much every day with Batman animated series and Gargoyles, and that was some of the best TV ever. Man, Gargoyles was dark. It was not really for kids, and man, if you
Absolutely.
like,
One of the most iconic episodes of all time is the 8th episode where Broadway accidentally shoots Eliza. And it
yeah,
was actually blocked for a while. It's like, no, we need to tackle gun violence.
yeah. I mean, it paired so well with the Batman the animated series. Now, was Bruce Timm was involved in Gargoyles, wasn't he?
I believe so, yes. I'm not entirely sure.
Like a
But let me
producer or
ask,
something?
what's your favorite episode of Gargoyles?
Man, I don't think I have a favorite. I mean, like Gargoyles is one of those cartoons, animated series I can just watch and just watch it. So I mean, like nothing really sticks out of my head. I know a couple months ago I tried to get my kids into it, but they weren't having it. So I watched a couple episodes, and it's in my
Why?
queue
Because
now
it's
on
not My
YouTube.
Little Pony?
So they are into miraculous and stuff like that, and I'm like,
Oh,
man,
Miraculous Ladybug. Yeah, I've heard about that.
yeah,
I would say my
and
favorite episode of all time is The Mirror.
tell us
And
about it.
what I like about Gargoyles is that it's very dark. It works
Mhm.
for what it is. But
Yeah.
The Mirror is basically just I would say one of the more fun episodes. It
Mhm.
starts off with Eliza being a security guard protecting Titania's mirror, an ancient artifact by the members of the Third Race. The Third Race are basically like all the elves and all the mythical creatures that they have.
Mhm.
In Gargoyles, there are really like three intelligent races: humans, gargoyles, and the Third Race, which
Mhm.
would be O'Brien and subsequently all of his children. Demona tries stealing it, but both Goliath and Lisa are there. But it turns out she was a decoy for the actual robbers to steal the mirror. They take the mirror, she pays them because somehow she has access to money, and she tries summoning Puck and does. And Puck, who's portrayed by the wonderfully talented Brent Spiner,
Mhm.
is more of a. Are you familiar with the monkey's paw?
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you that don't know, the monkey's paw is a story about a monkey paw, an ancient artifact that will grant you any wish you want. But keep in mind, it's going to render your wish list so useless that you're better off not asking for it. Like saying, if you wish to fly, it will grant you the ability to fly, but in exchange, it'll give you an acute case of acrophobia. Or you wish to swim, or you wish to breathe underwater. You can, but it will cost you your ability to swim, making it worthless. So Puck was summoned to grant all of Demona's wishes. And when this happens, he's like, you know what, I'm going to do it, but in a way that pleases me. He does this by turning Elisa to a gargoyle, all of Manhattan to gargoyles, uh, the gargoyle clan into humans. He's like, "Oh, you mean these gargoyles? Oh no, I thought you meant Elisa and I thought you meant Goliath and his clan. My bad." But he's like, he knew what she meant the whole time, but he's just toying with her because he could. And in the end, all goes back to normal because, well, the story must go on. And he's like, I had such a fun time. Can I find some way to thank you? And I was like, just get out of here. And he finds a way to keep her not turned to stone during the day anymore. But he turns her into a human during the day.
Mm.
And if you catch my Greg Wiseman episode, Demona, in a sense, was actually inspired by Magneto in the us versus them mentality. And here's another fun fact for you. Did you know that the Gargoyles series was loosely based on the adventures of the Gummy Bears?
Really?
Yeah, very loosely. Different colored gargoyles getting into adventures. And it actually started off with Demona being the main protagonist. Yeah, it's some really crazy stuff on how the show became what it is.
That's awesome. That
It
is
really
so cool. Oh man. So, do you think that we will ever get Gargoyles in live action, or at least a reboot animated series?
I would prefer the rebooted animated series because here's the thing with live action. I get not everybody's into animation. I understand that. But animation works for what it is. There are no rules with animation. But there are certain things you can and can't do live action that doesn't work. It's like, you ever see those live action Disney TV shows where the adults are all acting kiddie-ish?
Yeah.
It's just really, really unsettling.
Yeah.
Kind of the same concept for a lot of stuff that's animated that becomes live action. Which, side note, best thing about Wonder Woman 84 is a Kristen Wiig furry. Other than that, not worth a watch.
Correct. Man, and they had the characters. They could have done something pretty awesome with it, but like the whole Steve Trevor coming back thing, and then they got with each other. That's I don't. There was a lot of issues there.
Well,
There was
here's how it would have been better. Barbara Minerva was a geneticist who's low on funds. So she straight up inject herself with cheetah DNA and robs banks for her funding. Is it the best movie idea? No.
No.
Is it better than what we got? Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. All right. So, what other franchises do you think would work with a collaboration with Gargoyles?
You mean like a crossover?
Yeah, crossover like Batman the animated series. I mean, that's kind of there's a kind of give
Well,
me,
it takes
but
place in New York, so Spider-Man would be kind of a fun one. The
that'd be
Gargoyles
cool.
versus the Sinister Six.
That would be cool. That'd be cool.
Which, fun fact, that was another series Greg Wiseman worked on, The Spectacular Spider-Man. And if you check around the background, you see a couple of gargoyles that look like both Hudson and Broadway.
That's cool, man. So it's funny because IDW Comics did Batman and the Ninja Turtles comic, but they've also done Spider-Man comics as well. So is it too far out there to say that IDW could do a Batman, Spider-Man, something? I don't know. I think it'd be
I
kind
would
of cool.
like to see that. That would be an interesting take. But who's your favorite Spider-Man villain?
My favorite Spider-Man villain would I love Venom a lot, but I can't really call him a
Venom's not
villain
anymore.
anymore. Right. So I would have to say maybe Hobgoblin, not maybe
Which Hobgoblin?
um
I always like the Mark Hamill Hobgoblin because he sounds like Joker. That's awesome.
Yeah. Spider-Man has such a great rogues. I mean, I love the goblins. I like that in theory, like the Green Goblin, Hobgoblin. But man, I guess Lizard is really cool as well. I didn't like really Vulture. I've never really been too big of a fan for him.
I'm a Doc Ock man personally.
Yeah, I guess because he can match the wits, he knows Peter's Spider-Man. And did you ever read the Spectacular Spider-Man comic? That's the one where Doc Ock is in the body of Spider-Man.
I believe
Yeah, it is
so it's like a
really
Freaky Friday thing.
kind of, but it goes on for like 40 issues. I mean, it's a really good run. I mean, because comics happen and it kind of goes back to all the way it is and everything like that. But I mean, it's a really good series. So if you ever want to go get it, so I collect comics. I'm a huge comic book fan.
Well,
But
they're
like
on good niche as far as I'm concerned. I'm more of a manga person because I feel like comics are getting way too predictable, in my opinion. But manga always finds new way to surprise me.
Yeah, and well, with Marvel comics especially, it's I just don't know where to get into them. So I'll just buy random. So this looks cool. I'll get it. I'm supporting the artist, the writer, and everything.
Which is an interesting thing for you. I'm actually doing a Tournament of Power episode coming up, and I've had 80 different characters that have already been selected. 2 of the teams are Marvel and DC.
Ooh.
Now, if you're gonna pick like it's a 10 character roster, and the concept is we want you to push your opponent out of the ring, but you can't kill them, and you can fly if you have wings or a way to propel yourself. None of this up and away Superman shit.
Yeah.
If you're gonna pick a character for each team, who would you pick and why?
All right, so I would probably pick for DC. I would pick Nightwing. I pick Nightwing because because of his agility, and he's often overlooked. For Marvel, I would probably pick. I'd probably pick Spider-Man.
Which one?
Peter Parker. No, you know what? No, I would go
I mean,
Miles
which
Morales.
Peter?
I'll go Miles
All right, well,
Morales,
keep in
Spider-Man.
mind he won't be allowed to bring any outside gadgets with him. So
Yeah.
no web shooters.
That's fine because he still can jump. He can still. I mean, I mean, honestly, I think that if Marvel DC ever crosses over again, a Nightwing Spider-Man would be freaking
That actually
amazing.
does sound pretty badass. If I were going to pick a character for each team, I would have picked the Blob because he can't be moved, and the name of the game is push your opponent out of the ring.
Right, Juggernaut.
And I would have chosen Lobo for DC because he's as strong as Superman, and he doesn't need to fly flying, which Superman won't be able to do in this hypothetical Tournament of Power anyway.
Nice. I like it a lot. I'll look forward to that.
And we actually do have a Disney team, and when I say Disney, Pixar, TV shows, and original animated movies only. So no Marvel or Star Wars character. And we actually have 2 Gargoyles characters that have been selected.
Very cool. So how did you get into that part of it?
Well, I try to keep things interesting for my specials. My 50th special is my Squid Game. My upcoming 60th episode is my reading of my Christmas book. My 70th special, I'm going to speak to somebody from Japan, and they're going to tell me all the cool geeky places that they recommend.
Awesome.
Or anybody who would love to go to Japan. My 80th special is the Tournament of Power. The 90th special is the Geek Nerd Spectrum special, where we try to decide where exactly the difference between geek and nerd lies. And my 100th episode special will be So You Want to Start a Podcast, and talk to all the people who want to get into podcasting and what I personally recommend for it.
Very cool. Very cool. I think that's a good spot to tell us start wrapping everything up. Tyler, tell everybody, where can we find you? How can we support you? How can we give you a virtual high five?
Awesome. Like I mentioned, feel free to go to the Geek Talk with Tyler website. That's all one word, all lowercase. And there you will see all my social media links, my Facebook, my LinkedIn, my Instagram, and if you're feeling very generous, my Patreon page as well, and even Venmo if you don't have Patreon. Or if you would like to support it, go on the Anchor website and you can catch several of my episodes there. And the more episodes I get there, the more I can monetize this. So yes, I as much as I like Talking Geek, I can't exactly make money doing it as of now.
Mm-hmm.
But there you go. That's just the world we live in.
All right. So you can tweet at me at Fandemic3. Message me on Facebook at The Fandemic. I'm also active on TikTok at Fandemic1. You can hear my reviews and so much more. I also started a new Facebook page for my work persona, the Emperor of Awesome, where I just put a lot about my trivia, my bingo stuff. I'll have my Uno tournaments, all my reels, stuff like that. Is all going to go there. If you want to support the show, there are several ways to do so. One, you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/the Fandemic. Become a monthly supporter like Stacy at anchor.fm/PVOTN. You can go to PayPal or Venmo at Bradley Butin. Or you know what? If you just want to share the show with someone you want to make a little more awesome, don't forget to buy my book on Amazon, Leveling Up My Awesome, $7.99. Reach out to me if you want an autographed copy for just a little bit more. And don't forget to leave a 5-star review. Now, Tyler, I think we have hit max levels of awesome for this evening.
I like to think we are, but to be fair, anything I'm in is already max level of awesome. So.
I like where your head is at, sir. I like to leave every show on a super positive note. What are your words of wisdom, sir?
To paraphrase the great Leonard Nimoy, rest in peace, live long and stay geeky.
I love it. We're all playing the same game in life, just on a different level. Thanks for catching up. You're welcome for leveling up your awesome. Live free or die empty. Have a great day.